And come into the room, notice how we feel. And we're on TV. Here we are in week 6 of our class. Most of you have been here every week. I think all of you.
Just 1 week.
I missed last week, that was my only one.
Okay. Well, I'm proud of you, and I know you're practicing. I'll let you talk about that. I am too. Feels good. Feels good to practice. So you'll remember I like to talk about my definition of mindfulness. I think it's learning to pay attention to what's happening in our minds, in our body, and in our environment, moment by moment, with an attitude of kindness and what's the other one?
Curiosity.
There you go, good. That's it. So that curiosity part is what I'm talking about when I say we notice our minds wandering and we smile, we notice it. It's kind of fun, that's the curiosity. So in weeks 1 and 2, week 1 and 4 mainly, we kind of focused on the thoughts that come into our mind. In week 1, we learned to pay attention to our breath and notice a thought and let it go. And in week 4, we kind of worked on labeling thoughts. Oh, I'm remembering, and let it go. Or labeling emotions. Oh, I feel kind of upset right now. Oh, or body sensations. We also did that. We named them. So, and in weeks 2 and 3, we focused on those body sensations, learning to be in our body by some specific practices. The mindful yoga or mindful stretching, in which we move a little bit and notice how our body feels in those postures. And the body scan, where we just sit or lie still and notice different parts of our body. We scan through our body. And we're going to come back to those in week 7, in 2 weeks from now, when we focus on how we deal with pain, because those are really valuable in that case. And then last week, week 5, instead of the body or the mind, we focused on the environment, mainly people. And that's where we are in the world most significantly, I think, is with being with other people. And we worked on loving kindness, which is learning to pay attention to other people. We learn that to be kind to them, we connect with them, and we find out that we're all kind of the same. This week, we're going to expand a little bit on being aware of other people by working on mindful communication. And I was telling her we're going to break up into pairs, and since we're uneven group, I have to be in one pair, which is okay. And we're going to do a little experiment, little demonstration of how that works, and I hope that's helpful. And then we're not over yet, because we have weeks 7 and 8 coming up after the Thanksgiving break, but we're going to work on pain, both physical pain and emotional pain. I hope you all can come, because I've learned so many new things in the past year about that I'm going to share with you. Traditionally, this week 6 has been my wrap-up night, so I've got a little wrap-up handout to give you, and I have a lot of handouts tonight. But before I start talking about tonight's topic, why don't we just go around and share a little bit about how we're doing?
Doing good. When I emailed you last week, I got 3 in the week before, when we were supposed to do 2.
I was
20
challenging
minutes.
you all to do 20 minutes,
Yeah,
right?
20 minutes, and I did 3 days of 20 minutes. So, and actually, I do it at night. I lay down on the floor in the living room on a blanket. And actually, my dog has calmed down. My dog actually lays by me. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So, but yeah, the 20 minutes though, it goes fast.
Okay,
It goes fast, but I'm feeling more positive. Happier. I'm trying to think of the words.
that's enough. That's great. Good for you.
Thanks.
Elizabeth?
I got some good sessions into the 20 minutes isn't really a problem. It's normally what I aim for. Anyhow, 20 minutes or a little more, so
Good.
that went good.
Diane would often be there. She's not here tonight, but I saw her husband, Roger, in the grocery store, and he said, she's better. So, sometimes the spouse will notice more, you know. Sue?
I did get 20 minutes in. I usually do mine before bed. Sometimes I'll try to squeeze one in during the day, especially now with being off, but it went pretty good. Except for I fell asleep one time.
That's okay.
It was a to help go to sleep, help sleep thing.
Yes.
Because that's kind of what it was for, so.
Good.
Yeah, I feel like it's easy to get to them. Being retired, I was just recently put into a more stressful situation. I was like, oh, this is like working people. You've got a lot on your mind, and then you get more flooded with it also. But I actually crave it. It's like, I want that time. Whatever it is gonna be. I wouldn't miss it. It's like you make the time to do it.
I found a really good place that I really like being in, and I changed it a little bit to be more suitable. And the 20 minutes is not a problem, but I had pulled muscle earlier in the week, and that was very painful. And it would have been great if we had pain.
Right.
But I got through it, and I did meditate in bed, and for really, I hadn't done that very much, and it worked quite well. And I think the time went by faster, but it was interrupted with thoughts about the pain and that sort of thing. So, but I'm pretty pleased with how things are going, and I feel a little bit calmer, I think.
Good. As I mentioned, I went to Madison yesterday. I had a fulfilling day, but I mainly went there for a talk in the evening at the Memorial Union. There was a panel discussion. Richie Davidson, the head of the Healthy Minds Institute in Madison, and two physicians were talking about the mind-body connection, about how to be whole and well with meditation primarily. And one interesting thing I wanted to share with you, I've got a bunch more that I'll share later, but one was, Richie said they've been able to show with just 3 to 4 minutes of mindful activity every day for 30 continuous days, they can show changes in the brain on fMRI. And that can be not just formal meditation, that works in with our informal meditation with just mindful activity. Anything we do that doesn't involve a lot of thinking, if we just pay attention to it, that works, like brushing our teeth, washing the dishes, or especially for a lot of us walking. Walking doesn't take a lot of concentration, and you can notice so many things. So he could show that 3 to 4 minutes daily for 30 days, they can show changes. So wonderful. So if we can do 20 minutes every day, even better. So there, having a place is very helpful. If you can find a place in your house where you feel comfortable, it's kind of like you settle into that place and you're automatically in the mood, sort of. Your posture, your place helps. But of course, you can do it anywhere, but that's helpful. So, as I said, this week I want to talk a little bit about communicating with awareness. And Tara Brach, who's a great teacher, in her book Radical Acceptance, has 6 steps that I think are really helpful in what I would call speaking and listening mindfully. And this is like a meditation, really, with another person. So it's, you're not going to be able to do all these things at Thanksgiving dinner, obviously. But when you have, now Thanksgiving is a wonderful occasion, but sometimes it can be a little stressful. You've got all these people there. Some people you don't see very often. Some of them might be that weird Uncle Harry that nobody really wants to listen to. And some of these things might come in handy during times like that. But it's especially helpful when it's just 2 people. And that's what we're going to experiment with tonight. But here are the 6 steps. The first step is set your intention to be mindful and to speak well and to listen well. Be honest and kind, and resolve not to say anything untrue or hurtful to anyone. It's like in meditation, it's helpful before you sit down, you say to yourself, well, I'm just going to try to notice things and let them go. Or I'm just going to sit here and breathe. It's like kind of set an intention. So this is a meditation, so set an intention. Number 2, let your body be an anchor. So once again, take time to feel our body, feel our breath. And Tara says, if you can pick 3 spots in your body, that will ground you and make you more relaxed and open. So maybe your breath, maybe your feet, maybe your hands. Just notice your body. Number 3, when you're speaking, speak from the heart. What does that mean? Well, partly it means being spontaneous. Don't try to plan too much in advance. I like, there in the Bible, St. Paul says, who was it? Somebody said, when you go, I think Jesus said this, when he said to the disciples, when you go out into the villages, don't plan what you're going to say, let the Holy Spirit move you. And this is kind of like that. If you just don't plan too much ahead, the words will come. And the words then may be just arising from what's in you right now. That's a little spooky, but you might get the sense. Now, another part of it is to speak slowly. Don't rush. Pause once in a while. Number 4, listening. Listen from the heart. So that means trying to let go of agendas, just try to listen to what the person is saying. But the main thing is be aware of what your mind does, because your mind's going to wander. When you're listening to someone, it's normal for you to do a number of things like think, oh, same thing happened to me. I identify with it, which is good. That's a way of establishing connection. But I'm just saying, be aware of it, or be aware of when we're judging them. Oh, that didn't sound very good. And just think, oh, I'm judging. Or a common one is trying to solve their problem, figuring out what advice you're going to give them. So listen, notice that and just let it go for now. Okay, you're just listening. And very often you'll be planning what you're going to say, right? When they're done, you're thinking about, oh, I'm going to say this. So notice that, let it go. So speak from the heart and listen from the heart. Number 5. And I think this is a more basic and simpler to understand and do is pause, relax, and attend. So pause. When you're speaking, take your time, say something. If you pause, some people will get uncomfortable with that, but if they know you're going to speak like this, it gives the thoughts a little time to settle. They can understand what you're saying instead of rushing on. Now, this is, I've noticed, maybe this is wisdom or age, but I know young people talk so fast. I was at college with my grandson at a college visit last weekend, and the students were explaining things to the group, and I was ready to say, would you please slow down? But I thought, no, I'm sure the kids can understand them because they go so fast. But in this kind of meditative communication, pausing once in a while is very helpful. And this enables us to pause and reconnect with our feelings, our body, give our times to really speak from the heart. And the last one is practice radical acceptance. And Tara says, that's the name of her book, by the way. Forgive yourself and the other again and again for forgetting our intentions, forgetting to connect with our body, forgetting to listen without thinking, forgetting not to rehearse. We will do those things, and so forgive ourselves because we're learning. We're learning. We're not perfect. Questions? Those are 6 steps. Now I'm going to break us into pairs and do a little experiment. One's going to be the speaker and the other is going to be the listener. And I'm going to give each person only 3 instructions, not all 6, to make it a little simpler. So please allow me to move you, okay? You're good right here. Lisa, would you bring your chair right here? No, you don't have to bring your chair. Just sit here. And I'm putting you in this position for a reason because during this, now normally when we're talking to somebody else, we use our facial expressions to communicate that we're listening. But in this case, we're going to try to do it without looking at each other and just listen and speak, okay? I forgot to give that instruction the other night. Here's one thing. Okay. Celeste, would you turn around and put your chair right there like that? Okay. And I'm going to join you, Jim, over here, all right? So I'm going to start with the people who are facing out. I'm going to ask you to speak first and the others to be listeners. So with the speakers, join me over here, please. I'm one of them. So I'm going to give you a scenario that you can talk about. Now feel free to diverge from this. It's just a suggestion. It's just a story to tell so you have something to say, okay? And there's 3 instructions. So number 1, before you start, Just be aware of your body and your breath. Okay? Number 2, speak from the heart. So take your time, be in the present moment, and just speak what feels true and meaningful. Okay? And number 3, pause. Pause, relax, and attend. So every once in a while, if it feels good, stop, let it settle. Okay? So begin with your body and your breath, speak from the heart, and pause. Okay? Okay. Okay, listeners, gather here now. I like these kind of experiments. It's different, okay? So you're listening, practicing mindful listening. So they're going to tell you a story, and I'm going to give you 3 things I want you to try to do while they're talking. The first is set an intention right off the bat that you're just going to be present and listening without judgment. Okay? So say to yourself, okay, I'm just going to sit here and listen. Number 2, notice when you're thinking about how you would like to respond to this person, what you'd like to say to them. Okay? Notice it and let it go, because you're not going to respond to them right now. In a normal situation, you would, but not now. And number 3, another thing we tend to do is notice when you're comparing their story to your own story. So just notice it and let it go, and then come back to listening. Number 1, set an intention. Number 2, notice how you're thinking you would respond. Number 3, notice when you're comparing their story to your own. Okay? All right, thank you. I'm going to, I forgot to give the speakers the story. Come back here, please. My suggested story is just tell about somebody in your life, somebody you know who's a kind of a difficult person. And you can just say anything about them, just usually there's something to say about them. Okay? Okay? All right, thank you.
Is this just one short little soliloquy or? It's not
3
a
minutes.
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
It doesn't seem like long, but it is long.
Yeah, it is.
Sometimes it feels long, sometimes it doesn't. So,
We can talk for 3 minutes.
everybody ready? And we'll start.
Usually the listener trying to get the other person.
Yes, I have a little story too.
So yeah,
In my life with
It's my sister, I have a twin sister, and she's
difficult in her life.
who's a good friend.
and
Which is also something I don't know her.
she is quick to,
Or church.
I guess, to make a judgment sometimes.
um,
I guess if we're
not
I
a
hear
very
it,
different
and
political
I used to, I think sometimes
gets in the way. Sure.
kind of speak against it and push other sides, but now I just listen to it and realize where, try to figure out where she's got that.
This has been a
Um,
challenge for me because
And there is,
he is also.
there was a long time where we didn't speak to each other.
Friend as well as a daughter, so.
She just kind of shut down.
Yeah.
Which is great.
No, that's a judgment.
And I guess this is important to take consider where they are.
He's also very
Sometimes you
smart.
wonder like, where is this
And
coming
trying to think of what the
from? How do you draw that kind of thing?
we actually end up staying together and what I should do.
So I think it's better sometimes just have to, just to listen, right? Just like,
Or something. And it's just challenging.
the hard part is that we
Together for
come from a big family and she's just doesn't want to be part of it anymore.
But it's not the end of the world at this stage, because either, so time will tell. Takes time.
Take time. It's not right. I don't try to talk her out of it.
I have
But it's hard
his wife
because I do talk to my brothers and I
this
say,
summer.
Too many other
and you know, that's really hard. It's difficult.
challenges.
Because we both share a lot of
Somewhere down there trying to see what you. But yeah, I know. Challenges me to be speaking.
But it's also she's my go-to person.
I was saying a lot.
And it's good and it's bad. She's my go-to.
Thank you. We'll talk about it later. Now the listeners become speakers, so you come over here. So you are going to be speaking mindfully. I'm first going to give you the scenario, and then I'm going to give you 3 instructions. You're going to just find somebody in your life who's a difficult person. That's the whole story. Now you can change the story in any way you want. It's just a suggestion of a story to tell. Okay. So the 3 points are: begin with your body and your breath. Before you even start talking, breathe, notice your breathing, feel your body. Okay. Give the thoughts a little time to emerge. And when they do, speak from the heart. So I mean, don't try to rehearse too much. Just be spontaneous, but be truthful and kind. And number 3, pause every once in a while. Let it settle for them and for you. And then you can just notice how you feel and go on. So number 1, begin with the body and the breath. Number 2, speak from the heart. Number 3, pause. Okay, thank you. Question? All right. Listeners, come over here. We'll see how much of this gets on the video for you out there. So now you are going to be mindful listening. And I am too. So there's 3 steps. Number 1, set an intention, like I was talking about before, just to be there and listen, okay? Without judgment. Number 2, notice when you're thinking about how you would respond to this person. Give them some advice or think about what you would say. Notice that. Number 3, notice when you're comparing their story to your own. Not that there's anything wrong with that, we're just noticing. So number 1, set an intention to be present. Number 2, notice when you're thinking about how you'd respond, and notice how when you're comparing. Okay? Thank you. 3 minutes.
So I have difficulty sometimes because she was working
I don't know this person very well. I don't interact with him
That's totally different.
very often.
A lot of different things that I do. I think
He is
sometimes she
not overtly difficult.
tries too hard.
Has a great deal of power over a place that I dearly love. And sometimes
Pretty good.
his
Not the greatest even.
feelings about that place, his decisions, the way he motivates others to decide about this place are very counter to what I think is appropriate for this place. He's been involved in this place for a much shorter period than I
Like I said, she
have
has
been
to.
involved with it for a long time. He,
She.
I think, means well.
We all.
There are
Very
areas
pretty
where
good. There's not.
I think see eye to
They
eye.
don't. She's.
He tries to be diplomatic and not
Her
necessarily
daughter
pleasant, but
don't have the greatest
not
relationship.
antagonistic.
her daughter and I have a
He is in a
relationship.
position of power.
That does bother her quite a bit.
Wields that power
Because I'm
do what
close
he
to her
thinks is
daughter
right
as she is,
for this
which
place.
has a lot to do with the differences
And when I
between
meet
us.
with him, usually it's in a meeting where there are many decisions made. It happens once
Her
or
daughter
twice.
and I
And
do things
sometimes I
together
need
sometimes. She invited me
happy,
to go away and
satisfied,
do
so
I
with version of the world that I see.
I actually
And those
have a
times
relationship with her daughter.
I was irritated.
Good. I still have to be careful.
Make it a little bit better now. She has a lot of anger issues, a lot of germs that come from a lot of things. And that it's got a little bit better now, so get along a little bit better now than we used to. Just yeah. Real change.
Thank you. We can go back to our places. How was your experience with speaking mindfully and or listening mindfully?
I totally forgot to center myself, like,
Mhm.
I just wanted to talk, and so after I was like, oh, I forgot that part when we were listening. Because I got into the subject, so that was hard.
Yeah, we want to get going. Tell our story.
I think I talked too fast. I didn't wait as much as I should have maybe.
Yeah, maybe I did that too.
It's a skill we acquired, but I think it's helpful.
I'm not a young generation, but I talk fast.
Okay.
I do everything fast.
I talk fast usually when I'm nervous. That's-
Yes,
That's
of course.
when I talk fast. I probably was talking a little fast, but I did make sure I centered myself and took my breath before I started talking.
Taking a breath is very helpful in this with pausing and, brings you back. It's normal to be nervous and speak fast, yes.
It was a really great challenge to have my husband on one ear over here and listening to her over there.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're so familiar with this
Yeah,
voice.
it's like, don't listen to him.
I should have put you over there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
I noticed, I was gonna predict what he was gonna say next. And I noticed how pleasant it was just to listen, not to have to. Now, this is interesting if you go on a retreat and it's a silent retreat and you don't speak at all. Well, that's different because you're not listening, but just being with somebody without talking can be a challenge, but it can also be really relaxing when you know you don't have to say anything. And when you just set an intention. So I was with this friend yesterday for lunch in Madison, who is a meditation teacher. And trying to do this, we both had a lot to say, and we told stories that were similar, but we could speak and then listen and then stop for a minute and then speak. Really satisfying. It really is good, but it's a skill we acquired. So I think it's valuable and it's good in many different situations. So I have some handouts for you that will summarize this for you. I have all this stuff that I keep finding and making up these handouts. So Mandy, my right-hand lady, or what do they, my girl Friday, makes all these copies for me. Would somebody pass these out? Those are the 6 steps that I talked with at the start tonight that are from this book, Radical Acceptance. That's in your reading list. It's a really good one.
Thank you.
One for you.
Oh,
You got 2?
I think that's true. Was there a handout at last week?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe I'll get that now while you mention it. Okay? And be sure to talk to me if you missed any.
I think I got all the other ones.
This is from last week, which
Okay.
was about loving kindness meditation.
Okay, all right.
Did you watch the video?
Yes, I did
Oh,
watch the
good.
video, yep.
Good, all
Mhm.
right.
Yep.
And the next one is about listening, and it has some more specific things about what we tend to do when we're trying to listen. You have one? Good. The next one, I'm going to go through with you right now. As I mentioned, traditionally, week 6 has been our last class. So I have this handout that's about where to go from here, which was the last chapter in the book you read for this week. And don't be worried, I have another reading
Thank
assignment
you.
for you for next week. So I'm just going to go through this with you a little bit. So number 1, I compiled this from various resources. Number 1, set a daily time and place. It's valuable, as many of you have noticed, to have a formal practice where you spend, let's say, 20 minutes almost every day in a certain place at a certain time and do a certain meditation practice. And set a timer. Number 2, choose a practice. So maybe on one day you're going to do the body scan. Maybe on another day you're going to do the sitting practice with breathing. Or maybe you're going to combine them. But pick out what you're going to do. And I would suggest if you're going to pick 2, do each one for at least 10 minutes. So there are all these different practices we've had. We've had the sitting, walking meditation, yoga, body scan, the loving kindness. So pick out what you're going to do. Number 3, set a time. Number 4, read. So many people find it helpful to read something to help support their practice. I gave you a reading list. You can go back through Real Happiness again. I do that every morning. I read something and it kind of gives me some motivation as part of it. It's good for motivation. And share with me if you find something that's really valuable. Number 5, keep a journal. I didn't really talk about this. How many of you are writing down your experiences? Many people find this helpful. You can do it every day and say how long you meditated or what happened. I just have a journal where every once in a while I'll notice something, I have an insight, or I'll read something that I think is valuable. Of course, since I'm teaching, I want to do that, but many people find it helpful to write down stuff. And I just learned this, which I'll talk about next time when we talk about pain. One of the teachers last night said, if you have gone through a healing process and got better, it's good to write that down because next time you might have forgot what you did. So it's helpful when you are healing from emotional or physical pain and you get through it to write down what happened because it may be helpful next time. I thought that was interesting. Number 6, attend a regular group. So this is a regular group. We've been meeting every week. It's really helpful to meet with other people like this. It's motivating. You hear their stories, you learn from them. So there's some ways in which we can keep this group going. So we're going to meet again 2 times in December, December 1st and December 8th here. And I'm planning to start another class the same way, probably in February. I'll let you know about that. And keep coming back. Is this your second or third time you've been here, Rose?
Only the second.
Yes.
Yeah, because when you first started it,
Uh-huh.
and then I was going to Dr. Diedler's office for that.
Is it helpful to come back?
Yeah, oh yeah, it
Yeah,
is,
many
because
people.
I wasn't, after, I was done with the sessions, it's like I wasn't really practicing, like, as I
That's
say,
normal.
life.
Life happens.
Yes, exactly, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad, and then, COVID kicked in and all that jazz.
That's right,
stuff, so, yeah.
I found out that there is a group in Sheboygan who meets at this time, 6 p.m. on Thursdays every week. So I'm going to try to join them sometimes to see what's happening with that. That might be interesting. And you can talk to me if you want to arrange something else. Number 7, attend another class or a retreat. So I've talked about retreats. These are 1, 3, 7, 10 or more day experiences where you listen to somebody talk about meditation and you sit a lot and you do walking meditation and you don't talk. It's pretty profound. Now, a lot of them are available via Zoom, which is so convenient. So if you're interested in that, I can show you some resources, but I'm sure you can Google it and find out lots of resources too. Number 8 is about informal practice. When you're brushing your teeth, just brush your teeth. And as I mentioned, that counts. Just being mindful of a normal activity that doesn't involve a lot of thinking changes our brain. It makes us mindful. We notice what's going on. So I brush my teeth 2 minutes every morning. I set an intention. I'm going to try to pay attention. And when I start to think about what I'm going to do the rest of the day or what I'm going to wear, I say, oh, I can't come back to brushing my teeth. Number 9, practice mindful eating. So that we did that with M&Ms. And now and then, just slow down, pay attention to your body and the food. It's so good. Just a normal thing like that. Number 10, when waiting, do a brief meditation. So there are lines we wait in now and then in the grocery store or the post office. Fortunately, out here, we don't have to wait in line like people in the city do, but or at a stop and go light or whatever. And instead of feeling like, oh, this is holding me back, we can think, oh, this is an opportunity to meditate. And you can just pay attention to your breath, or it's a really nice time to do loving kindness. You can just see somebody there and just wish them well. Oh, I don't know you, but I hope you have a good day. Just say this in your mind, you know. I hope you'll be peaceful. Just, you know, that's nice to do. And it establishes a connection. 11, take a moment to just listen, just feel body sensations, just see. So this is true with people, but I'm thinking here, I guess, more about nature, or just sitting alone in your living room and notice what you see and feel and hear. Just a moment, just say, oh, what is it like right now? It's particularly good in nature though. Number 12, when you're in a stressful situation, pause. Notice how you feel, then you're going to respond more mindfully. Number 13, notice when you're judging yourself or others, or judging your experiences and sensations. Judging is normal. I'm not saying it's wrong. Just notice it. Oh, I'm judging. Okay. Number 14, become more aware of your consumption habits. So as we become mindful of the things we do. So there are certain habits we have when we're stressed. We all have them. Was it in Sharon's book? Yeah, where she said this one lady came out and found that her tires were all flat, and she immediately had to go out and buy some new stockings. And so her response to stress was shopping. Some of us eat more. Some of us drink too much alcohol, or even some. TV is certainly something we use a lot. And I'm not saying any of these things are wrong, but when we become mindful, we start to be aware of what we're doing, and we notice if it's really good for us. So just some ideas to carry forward in our practice. Comments? After, we're going to close in a few minutes with a closing sit, and then we can stay to talk if you like. As I mentioned, next class is in 2 weeks. Have a great Thanksgiving. Here is your reading assignment.
Is it just one?
Yeah, there's quite a few pages. Thank you. This is what we're going to focus on in weeks 5 and 6, responding to emotional or physical pain. And I think this, these graphics from, which I got from a thing, as you see on the top, it says PalouseMindfulness.com. I might have mentioned that, and it's on your resource list, is an online 8-week course in meditation that is comprehensive. It has so much in there, and this was one of the things that I learned from it. So that's your reading assignment for 2 weeks from now. Just a lot of stuff tonight. So we talked about mindful speaking, mindful listening. We talked about how to keep your practice going. You shared about how you are all practicing regularly and noticing some benefits. And the more we practice and the longer we practice, the more we learn. And I hope many of you will be motivated to keep your practice going. We're going to close with a sitting meditation. Just sitting here. Feeling our body. Feeling each breath. Letting all the words, the thoughts, the emotions just settle. Nothing to do with any of these things right now, just sitting here and breathing. All these thoughts will be here for us later to act on. Right now, just sitting and breathing. Thanks for your practice. I'm glad we could record tonight's session for everyone. Thank you so much. We just finished, Rebecca. Appreciate
See, I have heard the bell.
it.